UN Ambassador Nikki Haley has delivered a threatening message to the UN General Assembly ahead of a vote on a resolution opposing the United States' decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Haley called the move against the United States decision an insult, and the president would not forget it. President Trump warned U.S. aid could be cut to the countries condemning his decision on Jerusalem.
I like the message that Nikki sent yesterday at the United Nations. For all of these nations that take our money and then they vote against us at the Security Council, or they vote against us potentially at the Assembly. They take hundreds of millions of dollars and even billions of dollars, and then they vote against us. Well, we're watching those votes. Let them vote against us. We'll save a lot. We don't care. But this isn't like it used to be, where they could vote against you and then you pay them hundreds of millions of dollars and nobody knows what they're doing.
RT's David Miller has more on this story tonight.
The UN General Assembly will hold a rare emergency session on Thursday at the request of Arab and Muslim states who condemned President Trump's decision to reverse decades of U.S. policy earlier this month. The Palestinians called for the meeting after the U.S. vetoed the Security Council resolution, which affirmed that any decisions on the status of Jerusalem were null and void and must be rescinded. United States Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, warned in a letter to dozens of member states that encouraged them to know that the president and the U.S. will take this vote personally. Ms. Haley also echoed the warning on Twitter, writing that the U.S. will be taking names.
What we witnessed here today in the Security Council is an insult. It won't be forgotten. It's one more example of the United Nations doing more harm than good in addressing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Today, for the simple act of deciding where to put our embassy, the United States was forced to defend its sovereignty. The record will reflect that we did so proudly.
While unfortunately the United States of America, instead of being neutral to play an effective role between us and the Israelis, they decided to be more Israelis than the Israelis themselves. And that's why they selected to lose that status of being, you know, the moderator between us and the Israelis. And they are now completely in the side of Israel. And you cannot be on the side of Israel and pretend to be the mediator between us and them.
No honorable nation and state would bow to such pressure. Everybody would vote in accordance with the voice of their consciousness and the will of the nation. This is what will happen tomorrow. No one would bow to these pressures. The U.S. should give up such pressures and should not threaten the countries and nations. This is an extremely wrong method.
Trump's December 6th decision to recognize Jerusalem broke with international consensus, and it also triggered protests across the Muslim world. The UK and France have indicated in advance that they would back the resolution, which demanded that all countries comply with pre-existing UN Security Council resolutions that date back to 1967. It includes requirements that the city's final status be decided in direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. And Russia said on Monday that it was willing to become an honest mediator between the Israelis and Palestinians, as the United Nations Security Council vote did reveal that the global and united opposition to President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. And the foreign minister of the Palestinian Authority said in a statement in the General Assembly, the U.S. will not be able to use this privilege. A vote in favor of this resolution in the UN General Assembly is not legally binding. This only means it would serve as a recommendation and would act as the expression of the international community's stance on Jerusalem. Reporting from Washington, D.C., David Miller, RT America.